First, Princeton banned smoking in dorms. I'm sort of surprised it took that long. But now they're doing something truly shocking, banning iPads. And they are not alone. Other universities like George Washington and possibly Cornell will follow suit. So will the iPad still be able to revolutionize education and, frankly, power Apple's stock? You know, a lot of you out there are betting on that if the iPad gets banned. And why is it getting banned? Roger Kay is with Endpoint Technologies, founder and president there. And Noah Kravitz is editor-in-chief of PhoneDog.com. Who is holding up the Ivy League or bust iPad? Noah.
That'd be me. I'm Noah.
Your face is covered by that lovely iPad. All right, Noah, what is the problem here? Why the ban?
Well, I thought I was ready to go back to school, and I got one of these. Apparently not. You know, basically the problem, it's a networking issue. It's a bug in the operating system that the Princeton IT department discovered. And frankly, I don't think it's going to be a big deal long term. I think Apple will get it corrected in a software update. Honestly, within a couple of days. I'd be surprised if it took longer than that. The George Washington issue is an issue with the Wi-Fi security protocols that they use. And actually, you know, it's Apple, so they get a lot of headlines when things like this happen, and particularly education. They're touting iPad as, you know, the next big thing in education. But GWU has the same issue with iPhones and iPod touches. So it's nothing new. It's just their Wi-Fi security protocols and Apple's mobile devices don't work together right now.
But so, the other issue, Roger, is, you know, in Cornell, they're trying to figure out how to make this work so the iPad doesn't cause, quote, devastating consequences to the network. In other words, it's a data hog.
Right. So being a data hog, naturally wants to use up all the bandwidth it can, and these university networks, even though they're some of the most advanced in the world, sometimes aren't up to carrying the kind of data traffic that the iPad represents. So really, this is the leading edge of an era in which a lot of these little beautiful endpoints are going to be using up a lot of data, and is really a stimulus for building out the network, both in a local situation like a university and in the broader backbone.
Roger, what is it going to cost? Because obviously this now links into two other issues, frankly, many of which go back to Apple. It creates these great products that are data hogs. I mean, you know, the AT&T network will probably have this issue too. If you were to upgrade AT&T and Verizon and all these college campus networks, basically the country, so that we could all use iPads or iPhones, how much would it cost?
Right, so it's denominated in billions, maybe even tens of billions, and it's probably going to take several years. And what we'll see is a slow increment in the capacity of the network, and the experience will tend to get better, but there'll be more and more of these devices coming on at the same time, so it's sort of a race between the devices using all the data and the networks providing enough bandwidth for it all.
No, tens of billions is a lot of money. None of the companies out there have been... At least I've seen no announcements anybody going to put that kind of money in anytime soon. So, what if this dooms the iPad?
Well, it won't doom the iPad. In fact, the iPad is really the first instance of one of these devices. It's not even the first, but I'd say the iPhone was really the first. But it's an increasing use of data by these little endpoints that can just use the full internet everywhere. We're talking about video coming and going to and from everyone's endpoint. Then you're really going to have a lot of data usage. And so there'll have to be a build-up. But when you're talking about the corporate level, they do have to do things like get 10 gigabit switches and things like that. So they have to move from there. You know, and there are investments there, but they're not tens of billions for a company. And that's just within the company.
No, what about this? So what if it is just a great device, but it is the wrong time? Incremental maybe isn't fast enough for the iPad. Something else comes out by the time the network has enough bandwidth, and it's the hot thing.
I think people are already getting a lot of the experience.
That's how it works.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Noah.
No, I was just going to say, that's how it works in the industry. You know, it was the wrong time for the iPhone, and AT&T's had, you know, much publicized issues in certain parts of the country, where I am, New York City, and people still buy it. And so it's the wrong time for this, and yet all the other manufacturers are racing to put out tablet computers. Tablet computers have been around for a couple of years. They just haven't caught on. So it's always going to be the wrong time, but it's the ante you pay to play this game. So.
Well, in Israel, they confiscated them. They're not even allowing anyone to use them in a whole country.
Right. That's another issue, the Israeli government. But I think the fact is that these devices are going to be more and more utilized and more and more popular, and they will create the demand. I mean, Apple was the leading edge, for example, of getting USB to be accepted as a standard, and basically move the entire industry forward. So I think that there's an opportunity here for Apple to do the same thing again.
All right, Roger, Noah.
And you're also seeing... You're also, very quickly, you're also seeing, with regards to the video, you're seeing other technologies come along, companies like Flow, who now has a standalone mobile TV player, and they're reclaiming spectrum that has, nothing to do with these networks. So you're going to see the technology innovate to find other ways to route these giant chunks of data that, as you said, the endpoints want to use.
All right, well, thanks very much to both of you. We appreciate it, and there were probably some very ready to be very angry Apple shareholders who maybe feel a little bit better. You're both confident. Could be the right device at the wrong time, but it won't be doomed.